People have been conditioned to believe that peace is something to be achieved, earned, or gifted from outside. From the moment they open their eyes in the morning, they begin their chase, more comfort, more security, more recognition, more love, all in the hope that it will lead to peace. But this chase never ends, because what they are pursuing does not belong to the world around them. It is not in the house, the job, the relationship, or the bank account. Peace is not a product you can buy, not a person you can marry, and certainly not a destination you can travel to. If peace could be found outside, then those who have everything would be the most peaceful. But if you look closely, some of the most anxious people are the ones who sit in palaces, and those with nothing but the sky above and the earth below often carry a serenity that cannot be explained. Why is it so? Because peace does not come from accumulation, it comes from alignment. When you are aligned within yourself, when your body, mind, and energies are in harmony, peace is not something you feel. It is something you become. The danger lies in the illusion. You may touch a peaceful moment when you're on vacation, or when someone speaks kindly to you, or when things are temporarily under control. But this is not true peace. It is just the absence of disturbance. The moment the conditions shift, the so-called peace disappears. This dependency on favorable circumstances makes you a beggar to the world's ever-changing conditions. As long as your peace is hooked to people and places, you will remain a hostage to external reality, even the people we love the most. If we believe they are the source of our peace, we unknowingly give them the power to destroy it. One word, one mistake, one absence can shake our inner world. That is not love, that is emotional dependency. Real peace cannot be touched by what others do or do not do. It arises from a state of inner fullness where you no longer expect the outside world to fix what only your inner world can heal. The tragedy of humanity is that we are always looking for peace in the wrong direction. We build monuments, we create ideologies, we pray to heavens, thinking peace is somewhere else beyond us. But the truth is, peace has never left you. It is just buried beneath layers of noise. Noise of thought, identity, memory, and desire. Until you realize that no one else can give you peace, you will keep running but never arriving. Stillness is not a luxury. It is not something that belongs to monks in caves or sages in forests. Stillness is your natural state. Before the mind began its chatter, before the world imposed its stories upon you, there was silence. That silence is not empty. It is rich, alive, and deeply intelligent. It is the womb from which all creation arises, and the place where peace always resides. But instead of abiding in that stillness, you have become entangled in movement. Every thought, every emotion, every opinion keeps you spinning like a leaf caught in a storm. This inner turbulence does not come from life. It comes from your resistance to it. Life is just flowing, moment to moment, breath to breath. But your mind is stuck in yesterday and worried about tomorrow. It resists what is, and in doing so, it creates endless agitation. Only when you become still inside, when you stop fighting with your own thoughts, do you start to experience the peace that has always been present. Not because the world has changed, but because you are no longer shaking with it. People confuse stillness with inaction or dullness. But stillness is not lifeless. It is intensely alive. It is the clarity of a still lake where the reflection is sharp, where you can see reality for what it is. In noise, everything is distorted. In stillness, everything becomes visible. When your inner space is still, even pain is seen clearly. Even joy is seen without attachment. Peace arises not because life becomes perfect, but because your perception becomes unclouded. This is why all true spiritual processes begin with creating stillness, not controlling the mind. That is a battle you cannot win. Not suppressing emotion. That is like holding your breath underwater. But learning to observe without reacting. Watching your thoughts rise and fall like waves without being pulled in. When this space opens up in you, when you are no longer identified with every ripple, a deep calm takes over. That calm is not learned. It is remembered because it is your original nature. You don't have to create stillness. You only have to stop disturbing it. Right now, your mind is like a fan spinning at high speed. It is loud. It creates turbulence. But the moment you pull back, observe, and let it be, the spinning slows, the noise fades, and the silence beneath reveals itself. That silence is not empty. It is the most powerful space you can know. In that stillness, peace is not a visitor. It becomes the very air you breathe. The mind is one of the most sophisticated instruments nature has ever created. It is capable of complex thought, imagination, memory, creativity, and perception. But just like any powerful tool, it must be held with awareness. A knife can nourish you when used to prepare food, or destroy you if handled blindly. Your mind is no different. When you do not know how to hold it, when it moves without your permission, it does not work for you. It works against you. And in that constant, involuntary activity, peace becomes impossible. Most human beings are suffering not because of life, but because of the contents of their mind. They are haunted by thoughts they cannot stop, memories they cannot forget, and fears that haven't even happened yet. The body may be sitting here, but the mind is replaying a past argument or imagining a future failure. This compulsive movement becomes a torment. And the worst part is, they believe it is natural. But just because a pattern is common does not mean it is normal. An uncontrolled mind is a noisy place, and in noise peace cannot survive. The mind in its uncontrolled state functions like a monkey, jumping from one branch to another, never staying still, never resting. And yet, the same mind, when brought into balance, can become a doorway to clarity, creativity, even ecstasy. The problem is not the mind itself. It is our lack of discipline in using it. You don't need to silence the mind permanently. That would be like shutting off a machine that was built to serve you. What you need is the ability to turn it on when you choose and to switch it off when it's not needed. That freedom is the foundation of true peace. The key lies in creating distance between yourself and your mind. Right now, most people are identified with the mind. They don't have thoughts. They are the thoughts. They don't observe emotions. They become the emotions. This is where all suffering begins. But when you learn to witness the mind, a gap is created. In that gap, stillness enters. In that stillness, you realize the mind is just one layer of your being, not the core of who you are. It is a screen, not the source. You are the light behind it. Mastery over the mind doesn't mean controlling every thought. It means creating a conscious relationship with it. Just like you use your hands to do work and then rest them, the mind too must be used consciously and allowed to rest in silence. Once the mind learns its place, it no longer disturbs your inner space. It begins to serve, not sabotage. And when the mind serves you instead of dominating you, peace is no longer a fleeting experience. It becomes your natural state. From the moment a child is born, the world teaches him to look outward. What do you want to become? They ask. What will you achieve? From childhood to old age, the human mind is trained to believe that everything valuable lies outside: success, love, happiness, peace. So it's no surprise that most people go on an endless search through relationships, careers, travels, books, and rituals, trying to find something that was never lost, but simply forgotten within them. They chase external experiences, hoping one day they'll stumble upon peace. Like a lost coin in the grass, this constant outward pursuit becomes exhausting. You may build great fortunes, surround yourself with luxury, win applause and admiration, and yet, deep down, a quiet emptiness lingers. That emptiness is not because something is missing in the world. It is because something fundamental is missing in your perception. You have ignored the most intimate and powerful space available to you: your own interiority. People do not lack peace because the world is chaotic. They lack peace because they have not looked into themselves. It is a strange irony. What you seek is closer than your own breath, and yet you look for it in distant lands. You sit in noise and search for silence. You swim in shallow water, hoping to touch the ocean's depth. The treasure is not hidden, it is simply overlooked. The fragrance of peace is already within, but your senses are constantly distracted by the perfume of the world. So you forget that the source of your contentment, clarity, and stillness does not lie in what you collect, but in what you connect with, inside yourself. Why do people not look inward? Because it requires stillness. It requires honesty. Looking outward is easy. You can always blame something. Looking inward, you face yourself without filters. That can be uncomfortable, but it is also liberating. In turning inward, you don't escape the world. You learn to engage with it from a place of balance. The one who has found peace within does not run from the world. He walks through it like a silent flame, unmoved, unburnt, yet illuminating everything around. The true tragedy is not that people suffer, but that they suffer unnecessarily. They keep knocking on doors that cannot open. They ask the world to give them something it does not possess. The world can give you stimulation, sensation, even moments of joy. But sustained peace, that soft, undisturbed presence, it can only arise from your own depth. Until one becomes aware that they carry this treasure inside, they will continue begging for peace from the outside, not knowing they were born rich. When people think of silence, they often imagine a quiet room, a mountaintop, or the early hours before dawn. They believe silence is about escaping noise, about reducing the decibels around them. But true silence has very little to do with sound. You can sit in a soundproof room and still be in turmoil, or you can sit in the middle of a crowded marketplace and be untouched, perfectly still. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the absence of mental noise. That endless commentary in your head, the constant judgments, comparisons, fears, and fantasies. This is the real noise that keeps peace away. Have you noticed that even when you're alone, your mind is rarely silent? It drags the past into the present, projects the future onto now, argues, defends, remembers, and imagines. It doesn't take a voice to make noise. Your thoughts can scream louder than a crowd. This mental chatter becomes so habitual that most people are not even aware it's happening. It becomes the background music of their lives, playing so constantly that they forget it isn't natural. They assume this inner disturbance is who they are, and that's where the real suffering begins. But silence is not something you create. It is something you fall into when you stop disturbing what already is. Like muddy water left undisturbed, clarity appears when the movement stops. In the same way, when you no longer cling to every thought that arises, when you no longer resist your emotions or constantly identify with them, a gap begins to emerge. In that gap, silence is revealed not as a state of doing nothing, but as a space of simply being. And in that space, peace is not a goal. It becomes the natural perfume of your presence. This silence is not dull or empty. It is immensely alive. It sharpens your senses, expands your perception, and deepens your connection with existence. In silence, life does not become less. It becomes more vivid, more aware, more profound. You don't lose anything in silence. You gain access to something deeper than thought can ever touch. People fear silence because they confuse it with loneliness. But silence is not the absence of connection. It is the gateway to the most authentic connection possible, connection with yourself and the very fabric of life. Learning to rest in silence is the foundation of all inner transformation. It is in this silence that clarity blooms, intuition awakens, and the boundaries of identity begin to dissolve. Once you have tasted this silence, external noise no longer holds power over you. You walk through the world without its weight pressing upon you. Because the real storm was never outside. It was within. And when that storm quiets, you don't have to seek peace. You realize you were never separate from it in the first place.